They say that healing a narcissist is like trying to catch the wind in your hands, elusive, exhausting, and often disappointing. But what if that wind could be redirected, tamed, or at the very least, understood well enough to keep it from becoming a hurricane? Treating someone with narcissistic personality traits isn't just a psychological endeavor. It's a human one, often undertaken by parents, partners, therapists, or even friends who refuse to give up on someone lost in the fog of their inflated self-worth. Narcissism isn't always flamboyant arrogance or theatrical manipulation. Sometimes it's subtle, masked in charm, veiled in ambition, or hidden behind the pursuit of perfection. That's why treating narcissism successfully begins not with confrontation, but with comprehension. You cannot change what you do not understand, and narcissists, despite their apparent confidence, often exist in a world built on fragile foundations of insecurity, fear, and shame. What appears as dominance is often just a shield. What seems like self-love is usually a desperate attempt to silence inner doubt. Before any treatment can begin, there must be a willingness, or at least a crack in the mirror, that shows the narcissist their reflection isn't as perfect as they've built it up to be. This awareness is rare and often only surfaces after a major failure, social rejection, or personal crisis. Yet it's in those cracks that light can pour in, and with the right approach, the narcissistic individual can begin to see that their value isn't diminished by imperfection, it is made whole by it. The first successful way to treat narcissism lies in setting boundaries that are both firm and compassionate. The narcissist thrives in environments where others collapse their own needs to accommodate them. But healing begins when people stop feeding the narcissistic supply and start asserting limits. This doesn't mean confrontation or coldness. It means calmly and repeatedly modeling mutual respect. When done consistently, it forces the narcissist to confront the impact of their behavior not in shame, but in consequence. And this shift, though subtle, can open doors to reflection. The second pathway involves a slow and steady process of empathy training. Narcissists are not devoid of empathy, they're often disconnected from it. Their emotional world tends to revolve around how situations affect them, making it difficult to see others as separate emotional beings. Empathy training doesn't involve guilt trips or emotional appeals. Instead, it gently introduces the narcissist to another person's perspective in structured ways, often using storytelling, role-playing, or real-life consequence analysis. Over time, this can expand their emotional vocabulary and their capacity to feel beyond themselves. Another successful method is reframing therapy. Instead of attacking the narcissist's belief system, therapists often redirect it. For example, if a narcissist prides themselves on intelligence, the therapist might challenge them to prove their intelligence through emotional maturity. If they value being admired, they might be shown how humility actually generates more lasting admiration. This uses the narcissist's own values as leverage for change, guiding them toward healthier behaviors without triggering deep-rooted shame. Cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) also plays a crucial role in helping narcissists challenge distorted thinking. They often live with all-or-nothing beliefs, either they're superior or worthless, loved or hated, winners or losers. These extremes create volatile moods and fragile relationships. Through CBT, the narcissist can be guided to explore the gray areas of thought, to recognize that people can disappoint them without being evil, and that they can fail without being failures. It's a slow unlearning process, but one that gradually makes their world more stable and their relationships less transactional. Another pivotal approach is identifying childhood wounds and unmet needs. Many narcissists weren't spoiled with too much love, they were shaped by conditional love, neglect, or inconsistent validation. Their inflated self-image is a survival strategy, built to protect a deeply insecure core. Psychodynamic therapy can help dig into these early experiences, not to blame caregivers, but to understand the origin of the persona they built. When a narcissist sees that their traits were once adaptive but are now destructive, they can start to grieve the child who never felt safe to be ordinary. Mindfulness-based therapies offer another layer of healing. Narcissists often react rather than reflect. They fear stillness because it reveals vulnerability. Mindfulness teaches them to sit with discomfort, to observe emotions without needing to control the world around them. Through breathing exercises, body scans, and non-judgmental awareness, they learn that emotions are tolerable, that they don't need to dominate every room to feel alive, and that silence isn't synonymous with invisibility. One of the more unconventional yet powerful treatments involves connection to something greater than the self. Whether through spirituality, nature, or service, narcissists often benefit from experiences that humble them without humiliating them. Volunteering, meditation retreats, or even caregiving roles can help them see the beauty in interdependence. These moments strip away ego gently, reminding them that being part of something bigger doesn't make them smaller, it makes them fuller. Psychoeducation is another cornerstone of treatment. Narcissists often resist therapy because they see it as a threat to their self-image. But when therapy becomes a quest for knowledge, some narcissists engage more fully. Teaching them about emotional regulation, attachment theory, or even neuroscience appeals to their intellect while subtly shifting their perspective. It reframes emotional growth as mastery, not weakness. It is also vital to involve close relationships in the process. Family therapy or couples therapy can illuminate patterns that the narcissist cannot see alone. When done correctly, it doesn't become a battleground, but a mirror one that shows how their behavior affects others. This often sparks the first flickers of genuine remorse, especially when framed not as guilt, but as opportunity for deeper connection. The goal isn't to shame them into change, but to invite them into intimacy without fear of engulfment or control. Finally, perhaps the most underrated method of treating narcissism is patience. The narcissistic personality is not built in a year. It is the product of decades of adaptation, trauma, and defense. Treatment can take years and involves countless setbacks. But those who persist, especially therapists and loved ones with realistic expectations, often see glimmers of progress. A narcissist who once couldn't apologize might begin to take accountability. One who used to dominate conversations might pause and listen. One who saw vulnerability as weakness might one day share a fear without flinching. Of course, not all narcissists want help, not all are reachable. Some are dangerous, manipulative, or abusive. But many are not. They are simply lost in the architecture of a persona they needed to survive. And when the right tools meet the right moment, when ego softens just enough to let humanity through, change is not just possible. It's inevitable. In the end, treating a narcissist isn't about breaking them down. It is about gently dismantling the mask they wear so tightly that they've forgotten the face beneath it. It's about speaking to the wounded child behind the grandiosity, about replacing the mirror they constantly seek with a window, one that shows the world doesn't revolve around them, but it does include them. And that, sometimes, is enough to begin the healing. It may not be a smooth path, it may take longer than anyone hopes. But for the narcissist who chooses the road less traveled, for the one who dares to see beyond their own reflection, the journey inward can be the most courageous act of all.